Rob Baffert has all the starters edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Louis Rabeau, we are doing the low South thing. We're doing the Southern California thing this week, which means you get Jon Lindo. He joins us from Thoroughbred LA. The LA is for Los Angeles. And John, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy holidays, and early happy holidays to you, Louis. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it is. If you see the brick behind me, you know it's below 35 degrees out. Essentially, that is the giveaway here in the great state of Kentucky. Go ahead, make us jealous. You're wearing a sweater, but I imagine it's because it's like 58 degrees and you're just terrified of 58 degrees.
Yeah, it dipped below 60 this morning, so we thought the world was coming to an end. So, my wife has her winter coats out and everything else, and we're hunkered down now, waiting for the cold snap to get over.
Oh man, I can't believe it. I'm very convinced, John, that one of the reasons the California tracks show the weather at the top is just to make people like me jealous in other parts of the country, right? So like, hey, Golden Gate Fields, it's 64 and sunny and it's January and it's like, how about you go to hell? How about that? Yeah,
it's the best Chamber of Commerce commercial we can have. That's why before the Del Mar satellite feed starts working, they show that shot from across the street at the beach, and that people say, I got to get out there and check this out.
Yeah, I shake my fist at you. That's what I do here, here in the cold state of Kentucky. But hey, you haven't been on in a minute. I wanted to kind of pick your brain about all things that have happened at Del Mar in the last couple of months. Certainly includes the Breeders' Cup. I know you have lots of obligations as far as Breeders' Cup and where you've got to be and working and those sorts of things. But did you have a grand takeaway from either Friday or Saturday of Breeders' Cup? I thought it was, not surprising that we saw formful races on the grass and not so formful on the dirt. The 3-year-olds dominated the classic. Anything take away?
Well, first of all, I thought overall, as far as the track was, very fair conditions. No biases on dirt, on turf. I thought the best horses won for the most part. There were, some sad stories, and you always get some bad beats. But in general, I thought it was a really well-run Breeders' Cup. The field's terrific. Godolphin did their thing. It was great to see a few California horses get a Breeders' Cup victory, including Full Serrano, after we got blanked last year. So, that was important, I think, for the Southern California horsemen.
We went from me watching Baffert on Breeders' Cup Friday last year, storming out of Santa Anita, to him having the top 2 of the juvenile in 12 months. It was a hell of a thing, John, I'll tell you. But no, I agree with you. Actually, the fact that Sierra Leone won the classic with his running style with that short stretch tells you everything you need to know about that track. When Full Serrano, a couple of races later, just gets out front, with a couple of horses, does the stalking thing and wins his race. So yeah, it was extraordinarily fair, especially on that dirt course.
Absolutely. When you go too fast, they come back to you like they did in the classic. And that's just how it should be. You just want fair conditions because you're deciding champions, and don't let the track beat a horse. Let the best horse win.
We've been debating a little bit back and forth on this show with different folks, different parts of the country, the excitement of the horses that are coming back next year. So I talked to, Brian Hernandez Jr. on Friday as part of a local show we do here. My version of Thoroughbred LA called the Kentucky Racing Spotlight. I've actually got the shirt on today. How about that? And then, about Torpedo Anna being back, Mystic Dan also coming back. I can't remember last time we had the Oaks and Derby winners coming back in the same year. Obviously Fierceness, Sierra Leone, hopefully Fierceness is doing okay with his little bit of a setback. What's more likely in your mind, John, that we still see a ton of 3-year-olds run off to the breeding shed, or that was a blip and we're actually going to get a little bit more of what we're seeing this year?
I'm hoping we get a little bit more of this, where we do, to me, it's okay. Not every horse is going to be undefeated. You don't have to be afraid of losing. You get them dirty and you compete. I mean, nobody was complaining when Seattle Slew was getting beat against horses like Exceller, or, you get Affirmed out there fighting. It just builds their reputation that they can withstand training over a long period of time, face the best. And to me, those are the kind of durable horses I want to breed to, get my mare in the breeding shed and get to those horses that will bring you some longevity also.
Yeah, no, the longevity part of it will be interesting to watch going forward, because I think there's a tipping point with this, John, especially on the breeding side, where yes, you want the fastest horse possible, but what the hell good is it if you can't run, right? I mean, if they're just so fragile, they can't even get on the track. What are you paying for?
Exactly. And in this day and age, with all the vet protocols and everything else, there is so much to keep a horse from a long career that you really need a good sound horse to be able to do it.
The handle, the field size, both up at Del Mar in the fall meet. I remember talking to you after, I actually don't know, what is the earlier meet called at the end of the summer? I really don't know.
At Del Mar? We just call that the summer meet.
Perfect. Okay. The summer meet, I remember talking to you right after that, and you described the racing as essentially like C plus, kind of B minus. I feel like it got better with
Yes.
the Breeders' Cup and then post Breeders' Cup. Did you have the same sense?
Well, absolutely. And then, in the fall too, there are less turf options around the country. So we get some of those shippers coming in, and Chad Brown's been a regular. Jonathan Thomas had a great meet coming out here. You get Graham Motion, Christophe Clement. So when those guys bring some of their A-listers out here, it makes for a lot of fun. And we kind of see where the Southern California horses stack up against those type of horses.
Yeah, and the turf season, because I think one of the, when we talk about how circuits move forward, what they're going to be doing, obviously in Kentucky, we have our stuff essentially set with the historical racing and our 5 tracks and the different surfaces. We're at Turfway right now doing the thing. But in Southern California, especially, that turf thing really matters. And could you see moving forward even more emphasis on turf racing in Southern California?
Well, it just depends how abused the turf courses get out here. At Santa Anita, we're going to race for 6 months from December to June. And basically every other race, I think the last couple of years, we've run more turf races than dirt races. Yeah. It's just a matter of how much you can take, which is why they added the flat 6 and 6.5 furlong chute for the turf sprints at Santa Anita to give the downhill a little break. And if you start from different places, you don't wear it out as much. But the weather will dictate what we do. But we've seen a lot of the dirt horses leave here, and we have trouble filling dirt races in Southern California right now at certain levels. So we are dependent on turf racing right now in Southern California.
Yeah, and I don't see that as any kind of negative. His name is Jon Lindo, Thoroughbred LA. On the weekends, how do people find Thoroughbred LA? What are you guys on?
You can go to our website, thoroughbredla.com, or the station. We're AM 830 KLAA. That's the home of the LA Angels baseball team. You can look up our website there. The Angels radio app has it if you want to pick up the podcast. So lots of ways to find it. If you're not listening, you're not trying.
Apparently, yeah. And Shohei Ohtani's not on that stick anymore, but you should listen to Lindo. It is what it is, people. All right.
I wish I had this contract. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no kidding. Even the deferred part of it. Yes. So the field size is up slightly, about an extra horse every 3 races. Is that a trend we can see go from 7-7 to maybe 8 a race?
I honestly don't know. I think the winter is going to be a little tougher for us. We're not going to get as many ship horses coming in. We still have the grass at Santa Anita, which is great, but we're not getting the participation from horses coming from the East Coast just because of the purse differentials that we do in the summertime. So it's going to be difficult for us to keep that going. Santa Anita will do what they can. They do have a ship and win program there, and we're also dependent on the weather. In California, the rules are different. We don't run on sloppy tracks out here, and we don't train after a day or two after the track is sealed. We cannot train the next day. So put you behind as far as getting horses out there. So the weather will have a lot to do with what we are able to produce.
Real question, just about because that's something I didn't know. What, with the logistics of that, is that one of, and I understand almost certainly long-term it's to card races on that surface, but is that part of the impetus to put in a synthetic course at Santa Anita, is that you can train on it no matter what happens with the weather?
Yeah, that was important because when they've now made the training track is now Tapeta. And so that was the part when it did rain and the main track in the morning was closed, the training track was also closed. So right now the training track can be open, and they have discussed if all the races come off the turf on a race card one day, they're thinking about running some races on that training track during the afternoon if we have to.
Well, good. It's better than canceling the cards. I'll say that for sure. So I'll give a personal example here in town. We had an issue with our internet service at the radio station where I work, and we were able to do the broadcast and that kind of stuff. And I got dozens of messages, John, from people, hey, I can't get the podcast. What's going on? And I would have to explain, but what I worry about is if I do that for 2 or 3 days, are people going to go find another podcast to listen to, another radio show to listen to? And I think I think it's better to just move to Tapeta than not run your races for especially a place like Southern California. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're only running 3 days a week during the winter anyways. You miss a day or two, or let's say it rains on a Friday and we can't train Saturday, you might lose the whole weekend. And if that race doesn't come back for a month or two, now you have a horse sitting on the sideline for 2 months. So it's important for the horseman. It's important for the racetrack. It's important to keep that, that whole product going. So the protocols out here are pretty strict, and I know some of the other places around the country are catching up, but believe me, we've kind of been the guinea pigs for all this protocol.
We moved to Los Al for this meet. I have no idea. I remember a couple of years ago, it made me smile. They ran the LA County meet because it was 2020. I think in this time of year, so everything got pushed, all messed up and all kinds of different changes. The minimums and the takeouts and stuff at Los Al. What is your favorite bet at Los Alamitos?
Well, I liked raising the minimum on the pick 4 to $1 as opposed to 50 cents. I don't think the tickets can be as much spray and pray as you actually handicap a little bit. There's only one pick 5, so you have to do that in the first 5 races. But for me, I think moving that minimum to the $1 for the pick 4, I will play more pick 4s at Los Al than I do otherwise.
There you go. All right. And takeout, by the way, California, under 15.5% on win play show bet. So if you're just a win play show better, there's no frankly better place than Southern California on those takeout rates. A reminder that this show is presented by our friends at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Maybe you need something for Christmas for the man in your life that has everything. Go ahead and get him some gear from Manscaped. 20% off if you use our promo code Horse Racing. Free shipping to your house. As well with that order, get in. Maybe you got a teenage son like me who's learning how to shave. We got him one of those foil covers. He's doing great now. Really enjoys having that product. Manscaped.com. Promo code Horse Racing. And yes, I use it up here too. Yeah, so there you go. All right. Well, thanks for being here, John. Let's go ahead and look at that late pick 3 out there at Los Al on Saturday. Maiden special for Thoroughbreds will be race 7 here. Going 6 furlongs. That slight right turn. They had it before Kentucky Downs. You understand me, people? Los Al had it first. That slight right turn there over that 6 furlong sprint. This is for Thoroughbreds here. You and I have talked about this before. You apply the same sort of handicapping rules and sort of rubric to the state bred races that you do to others. You and I are here. I should check since I pulled this up about an hour ago. Okay. We are here doing this show before the morning lines are out. I actually enjoy this a bit more than other times. How has the change been with the new morning lines? Have things settled in? Have we pretty happy in Southern California?
Well, Ed Burkhart, the longtime track announcer at Los Alamitos, he makes the morning lines at Los Alamitos. He still makes them at Los
Al? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was still doing the Thoroughbred ones.
There's been no change there, and he's always been very consistent out there.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, so the state breds, they'll run in race 7 here. He's a 10 in here coming out of those 1,000-yard races in the mixed company there at Los Al. I think Got Soul is really interesting here as well, coming out of Pleasanton. Are we seeing horses translate well from Northern California down south?
Certain guys have done a good job of making them fit. Andy Mathis, who trains Got Soul, is one of those guys who's established himself. He's won races at Del Mar during the summer meet, which is the toughest meet in Southern California. So he kind of knows what fits down here. And a horse like that, Got Soul, coming out of Pleasanton, that's an open company maiden race. So he's dropping into Thoroughbreds here, so it's a class drop. And I really like to see, if possible, either a work over at Los Alamitos or proven form. That long stretch is a lot different than what you see at Del Mar or other places, and the turn's a little bit tight. So it's a different configuration. And if you train there, you're used to it. If you race there and you've shown you like it, you tend to repeat that. The main track is a little bit faster than you would see at Santa Anita or Del Mar, so they can skip over it a little bit too. And, certain jockeys ride it well. Tiago Pereira, who's kind of a top 10 kind of guy at Del Mar. He's the all-time leading race winner at Los Alamitos. You've got Edwin Maldonado there too, a guy that'll pop a horse out of the gate, and he'll pick his lane. You got to go get him. So those are probably the 2 main guys on a regular basis down there at Los Alamitos.
Nice. We also get Napid here in the 2-hole for Antonio Garcia. I was going to ask you, it seems to an observer like me who's just looking for the outside in, lots of dirt to turf. I think the switching the surfaces happens as much in Southern California racing as anywhere in North America, frankly. It also seems to be a very effective angle at Los Al. Like you mentioned, they're able to skip over the surface. Turf horses seem to not be encumbered very much by the Los Al surface. Am I right about that?
I agree with that. Again, I think this course is a little bit more like a turf course than it would be the deep course at Santa Anita, the main track at Santa Anita, where they spin their wheels a little bit. You can get over the top of this dirt course. So, and the other thing is, if you don't run your turf horses at Los Alamitos, you're sitting in the barn. So I think turf horses get more opportunities at Los Alamitos, and because of that, I think some of these guys find out, hey, we can do this now. So it's a good opportunity to try your turf horses over there. If you're not going to do it, you're just going to sit feeding and paying bills. Maybe use it like a workout and find out. Maybe you discover I've got a dirt horse too.
I think Knapp's interesting in here. I think James J. Braddock, the first-time starter for Steve Knapp, is really interesting in here, just because of his percentages with first-time starters. Did you land on someone on top here?
I gave a little look to Glass of Jameson on the outside, a first-time
Okay.
starter for Pete Urton. This is a horse by Clubhouse Ride out of She's a Milky Way, who was a very precocious horse. Just a real steady work tab. I saw the horses working on the synthetic at Santa Anita, so this might be a grass horse down the line. But from the outside, if he is a grass horse, the dirt's not going to hit him in the face. You can sit wide in this course and finish. He's interesting for Pete Urton, who's not known for firing first time out. Knapp is going to run well, but I do think Gotzel is probably the one to beat coming out of that open race back into Calbreds.
A horse like Knapp that's sitting in the 2-hole, and I hate to go back to these horses, but just for people that are looking outside in, that slight turn to the right before you make the hard left turn, does that affect a horse in the 1 or 2 in a 6 furlong sprint, or do they have time to kind of, and look, I know it's Mario Gutierrez. He's ridden there a billion times, I'm sure. But is it a little bit of an issue trying to get up? Not 1 hole in the Derby bad, but is there a little bit of a move out you have to make?
Yeah, it's not terrible. But if I had as an owner, I would rather draw outside. You're kind of forced because there is that little elbow that you better come out of the running if you have some speed. So Knapp will show speed. He's got tactical speed. And if he breaks well, he can kind of dictate where the race goes. In general, they have plenty of time to move over. If you don't break, you don't necessarily get shut out, but you don't want to get caught down in there when you go into that turn, because they kind of shuffle from the outside back down to the inside. Those horses on the inside take the worst of it.
The Los Al Futurity will be race 8, starts the late double here. By the way, very playable 20% takeout on doubles at Los Al if you wanted to try to hit the late double there. Obviously 3 Bafferts in here, but it's a 1.16 on the dirt course there. The grade 2 means $200,000 in the kitty. John, ugly Frank question here. How long is this going to be a grade 2? I mean, this was a grade 1, 4 years ago, something like that. We've seen the field size around this, lots of Bafferts in this race. It's just a tough part of the calendar, I think, in between spots. Does this keep the grade 2 for a while? If it drops to a grade 3, what's the interest look like? I think it's going to be a stop on the Derby Trail no matter what, but are we at least going to be able to keep that grade 2 kind of level?
I think so, if only because of Bob Baffert. He's running horses in this race that go on and do well next year in the 3-year-old races. He's got a horse in here gaming that was second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So, that's a grade 1 horse. This is a grade 2 race. He's going to be awful tough to beat in this spot. I think he got unlucky in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in that the pace kind of changed when Eastern Avenue didn't break. So his stablemate made the lead, and that was Citizen Bull. And you knew the Baffert horses weren't going to hook up and bury each other on the front end, so he ended up following his stablemate, and he just couldn't catch him. But he's a horse that wants to run long. Flavian Prat is back out here to ride him. He had them out before the Breeders' Cup. He rode Chancellor McPatrick in the Juvenile. But Flavian Prat is here for a reason. This is a good horse that I know wants to run long. He'll get better next year. And from the rail, if Prat wants to go and control the pace, I think he can do it. His stablemate Getaway Car, number 3 in the program, is probably the other main speed of the race. But once again, the Baffert horses aren't going to kill each other off. So I think whoever breaks better goes and the other one follows. If you're trying to beat Bob Baffert in this race, take a long look at number 5, Journalism. This is a horse that Michael McCarthy had, and he really jumped forward going around at Del Mar last time. He finished really well. He's trained well out of that race. And now it's a maiden, off a maiden win going into a grade 2. This horse has a lot of ability. He's a big, heavy horse. I think he'll only get bigger and stronger and faster with racing. So keep an eye, win or lose, on Journalism here. He's a horse that I think is going to make an impact in the spring.
All right, so let's play everybody's favorite game, Bright Future. What are my terrible options here? Sorry, my camera just turned off on me. Future is Bright if they have a chance to win this race, John, and no Future if they have no chance to win the Futurity. Obviously, these horses can do whatever they want as 3-year-olds. I'm not predicting their futures. We will start inside and work our way out. Bob Baffert trains Gaming, who you mentioned ran second in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile to another Bob Baffert trainee in Citizen Bull. Citizen Bull sitting atop the Kentucky Derby qualifying standings at this point. Future is Bright, no Future for Gaming. I have a feeling I know which one.
Future is definitely Bright for Gaming.
What do you like about his game? And is if you were singling, is this it? If you're trying to make money on the later part of the ticket, are we trying to beat him Is he that horse?
I'm going to single him. I just don't think I can beat him in this race. I wish I could, but I think from a pace standpoint and a class standpoint, he's kind of he's got a decided edge in this field.
All right, we move on to the second spot. Mellencamp is in here. A maiden so far, but does pick up Kimura in the mount here. He and Bob Baffert actually hitting at a very respectable 16% together. Their last 38 attempts. Ran a second on debut at 6 furlongs. Tried the mile last time at Del Mar and was part of the early pace. Just couldn't hold on for this race. Future's bright or no future?
No future, respectfully. I think he's the horse that was entered to make this race go. You know, there was four horses. I think Bob Baffert put this maiden in to make sure the race went.
I think that's probably right. The SF Racing folks also have Getaway Car. Will be in the 3-hole here for Bob Baffert. His main rider, generally speaking, in Southern California, Juan Hernandez, gets them out here. Was aboard him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I thought, frankly, a good enough fourth for what this horse is last time out at Del Mar. Future's bright, no future in this one.
The future's bright for him. I'm just not sure what exactly he's going to want to do. Even though he's by Curlin, you'd think he'd run all day. He's not a big horse. And, you know, he showed a lot of speed sprinting. I'm not sure if he's just going to be a miler, maybe a one-turn mile kind of horse. I don't know about, as the distances get longer, if it's going to help him or not. But the future's bright. They just have to figure out where it's going to be.
Got it. Yeah, mile and a 16th here. Just do you think it plays because of that longer stretch more like a mile and an eighth for a horse like a 2-year-old?
Yeah, I think you better want to route if you're going to get the mile and 16th at Los Alamitos.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair. Rank is just to his outside for Why Not Us. Doug O'Neill, 3 second place finishes in 5 runs. No wins yet for Rank, this son of Honor AP. Where'd you land on him? Is future bright or no future for this one?
For today, for the Los Al Futurity, no future. He's a maiden. He absolutely had a perfect trip last time and blew the race. Journalism ran right by him. You know, he's a horse that has ability. He hasn't put it all together yet. One day the future will be bright. I think it might be a little dark on Saturday.
There you go. You mentioned journalism earlier. Might be your longer shot play of the day. Ed's line is not out yet. What do you expect journalism to be on the morning line? I'll go 7-2.
I was going to say 7-2 or 4-1. I think the future is bright on this horse. We haven't seen his best yet. He's already shown the ability. He's an $800,000 purchase, so obviously he looks the part. Again, he's a big, strong, heavy horse that I think as he gets more fit with racing, he's just going to get better. So if Bob Baffert gets beat in this race, and I don't think he will, but if he does, this is probably the horse that has the best chance to do it.
It's interesting breeding on him as well, with Mopatism as the mare there. You know, I remember that name for sure. I'm trying to pull up her career stats. I just noticed that actually as part of, you know, the past performances here, but the daughter of Uncle Mo, I'm trying to think. Yeah, she had.
She was trained by Doug O'Neill for I think.
Yeah,
Paul
she
Reddick.
won all the. No, she won the La Canada. I've forgotten that. Yeah. I was trying to remember what it was. Yeah, she's a grade 2 winner. So, yeah, that's a serious horse on the outside if he can get it going. And like you said, that's the kind of horse that upsets the apple cart for everybody. You know, whether the pick 6 or late double or whatever it might be, is if journalism can get there. Were you surprised to see Umberto get them out there after Gonzalez did such a good job in the maiden win? No,
that's a positive because Michael McCarthy kind of uses Rispoli on his you know, he's kind of his number one guy. So he picks up the mount here. That's a good sign.
Got it. The closer on Saturday is a maiden 20. It's a mile there. It is a mile course, by the way, at Los Al. So they'll start at the finish line there. This is for open company, but for 3-year-olds and up. John, do you have a strong take on the last race?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Let's go.
I would take a stand against Battle Cruiser. He's had a number of chances. He was an expensive horse that has just shown no interest in winning at all. You know, maybe a slight lean to Aeromax. He's a horse that can route, and blinkers off there I think might help him a little bit if he just settles. I honestly don't have a strong feeling in here, though. This is one of those races I've watched tapes and I'm still confused. So I would try to beat favorites, and if you're going to play something straight up, make sure you demand a price.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Aeromax is probably going to end up being the favorite here. But that is a horse that adores third place and has figured out, as my friend Dan Issel says, if he finishes third, he gets the same food bucket he does as if he finishes first. There you go. Well, he's Jon Lindo at Jon Lindo 60 on all the socials. Thoroughbred LAKLAA every Saturday and Sunday, an hour on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday. Get in with them. As Jon said, if you're not listening, you're not trying. Jon, we appreciate it very much. Do you like this sort of basic rule? And we'll get you out of here on this. The 5 horses in the Los Al Futurity, it's going to be less points than, say a 7-horse race or something qualifying for the Kentucky Derby. Is that a shot at Bob Baffert? Is it an okay rule? Where's Jon fall on all that?
I think it's okay. I mean, there should be an incentive, and when you run against 3 or 4 horses, it's not as difficult a race. I don't have a problem with that. The only thing that you're going to do, though, is you're going to get a guy with a lot of horses like Bob Baffert to throw a horse or 2 or 3 in there, maybe that don't have any chance. And it could just, it could make things difficult on the race. So there's good and bad to it. I understand the reason for it. The incentive is to get there to run. And believe me, we can use all the horses you can get out here in California. Come out and give it a shot.
Well, there you go. He's Jon Lindo, Thoroughbred LA. Maybe you feeling up for an Eclipse Award kind of episode this year? A little year in review.
Yeah, we can do that. We're going to have some California guys get some attention there. So yes. The most important thing is the jockey that used to be here is going to win an Eclipse Award. And I'm looking forward to that move as well.
Is he tied with Bailey, or is he one ahead now? Because I would love it if it's actually the Futurity that pushes him ahead.
That's why he's here. He's tied with Jerry Bailey for greatest stakes wins in 1 year 55.
Okay.
This would set the new record. I'd love to see him do it in Southern California. Flavien Prat's got a lot of guys rooting for him.
Future is bright. His name is Jon Lindo, Thoroughbred LA. Thanks, Jon.
All right, thanks, Lee. Best of luck.
Yeah, happy holidays and congrats. By the way, we didn't do this. We had to do this morning because Jon's wife is a superstar. We don't need to get into it, but congrats to your lady. That's also, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, we've got an awards dinner tonight to go to. So yeah, somebody's going to win an award in this house. It's not going to be me.
We know it's that happens here too. Don't worry about it. All right, Jon. I will see you, buddy. Happy holidays. We'll catch up.
All right. Good luck.
All right, there you go. Jon Lindo, how about that? Out there in Carlsbad in Southern California, helping us out here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. We appreciate him jumping in ahead of that Grade 2 Los Al Futurity. We do say the future is bright around here. Want to remind you again about our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code Horse Racing. Get in 20% off and free shipping to your house as well. There is the 4 stakes races at Turfway Park on Saturday. If you're interested in that, I'll be talking to Tony Kalo tomorrow on Rabot & Co. at 10:20. Danis will jump on at 11 o'clock and tell you how he doesn't bet Turfway. We can do that as well. But I'll be out there as well on Saturday. If you are, go ahead and get a hold of the show at Horse Happy Hour. If you would like to hang out on Saturday up there in Florence, Kentucky, would love to see you and say hi to you as well. But we will play the music and we will get out of here on the December 12th edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. I'm Louis Rabot. Talk to you next week.